My name is Jess Cervellon, and I'm super excited to bring you my new podcast, The Juice with Jess. This podcast is going to be about everything in your customer's journey. We're talking acquisition, awareness, making that purchase, retaining that customer, bringing them back around, and everything in between. This is going to be all about delivering dope brand experiences and talking to some really amazing people who are in the customer experience space, the marketing space, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of The Juice with me, your host, Jess. I don't know why I just repeated my name, but that's what I did. This week, I am in my hometown, Chicago, and I am joined by my new homegirl, Mel Cummings, who is VP of Product and Digital at Fabletics. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Tell the homies about your journey.
Yeah, I've been at Fabletics about 8.5 years, VP of Product and UX.
Oh, UX.
Yeah, it's similar, but different.
Design.
It's fine.
Digital.
I actually started in our retail business, opening up our retail stores. So kind of like our manager of retail ops, really enjoyed that. And then about 6 years ago, had an opportunity to jump over to the website, been managing that in addition to our mobile app and our retail store technology as well.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm super excited to bring you on because my journey in CX really started from like more of a product side, like in B2B. Yeah. And how Mel and I became friends is we actually met at eTail West at a customer event. Yes. And she was waiting in line to 100%. Get a tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And a tarot card reading.
Sorry.
Yeah, beautiful tattoo. Yeah, Shout out to our events person, Alexandra at customer.
She did great.
She did great. So anyway, so we like met in line and we were like just vibing, and then we started talking about your like path, right? And like what you do, and then we just started nerding out about user journey stuff. Yes. And I think that it's really important as we like talk about e-commerce and we talk about, you know, digital experiences, even product design, whatever portions of the actual product and like the selling of your product, there is a whole user journey behind that. For customer experience isn't just, hold on 1 second. Can you still hear me?
Yeah,
okay. We'll cut that out. So I think that customer experience isn't just about support, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many other areas that are covered. This is specifically why I like really wanted to nerd out about this to you. Yeah. Before we deep dive into user journey stuff though, like I'd love for you to tell the audience kind of your background, and how you worked at Oracle and you were in customer success. Girl, yeah. Tell those peeps.
Yeah, I've had a pretty eclectic journey, which I think a lot of people in product have, because at least at the time it wasn't something you went to school for, you just kind of fell into. But I started in marketing, realized marketing was not like my personal journey, but I'd always been in digital and technology. So I had the opportunity to jump over to a startup, which I loved, just based in Indianapolis, called Compendium. They were actually a content marketing startup. So it was really in the content marketing space as that was like emerging. Mm-hmm. We had a tool for, you know, people to create content and manage it and put it out on their sites. And then that actually got acquired by Oracle. So I was working there for a couple of years in customer success, just helping, you know, people understand our technology, how to leverage it, how to maximize it, and really, really enjoyed that. And then kind of coincidentally had a very random experience with an old boss who didn't know I was looking for a job when I was kind of apathetically looking for a job. And they were opening for the retail stores at Fabletics. And he was like, you should come join us. And I did. And it's been great.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Wait, I want to like double click into your content marketing journey.
Yeah.
Real quick. Yeah. Because, okay, so I'm a CXer, but I really am a marketer. Yeah. Right. And like, this is why I like love it. And like, and I do content marketing is just so, this is content marketing. This moment right here is content marketing, right? Newsletters are content marketing. And I think that it's like, even when you think about like e-commerce brands or you think about like B2B brands, or companies, content marketing is like such another user journey pathway. Sure. And I think it's so interesting. It's like a different way to kind of like slang your product, you know? For sure. Yeah. I'd love to talk to you I'd love for you to like kind of double click into that though. Like, tell me about so you were a customer success manager in this role, but like, tell me about that user journey within that tool. Like, how did you like map that out?
Yeah.
From like a B2B perspective, right?
It was a very different experience because it was also as content marketing was still kind of emerging. Like social was a thing, but it was just not nearly as engaging as like what we're used to today. So a lot of people were like, okay, I want to get more people to my site. I think there's this SEO play here. What do I do with it? So a lot of what I would do is talk with people about, what are you doing natively, organically within your business, and like just talk about that, right? And we had a pretty basic tool where they were essentially writing like blog posts at the time, but it supported video, it supported images, but just really telling other people like what was going on with their business, and it proved pretty successful.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's cool. Did you? Okay, one question. This is like kind of random, but like a lot of people like are combating today AI.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know much about like this tool, or the Oracle path. Right. But like, I'm curious of like, in that time frame, was there any sort of like AI, like not necessarily the generative type, but like intent based, like in that tool setting?
There was some like suggested content, like it kind of like would help you a little bit. But a lot of people were kind of trying to outsource the content at the time, as opposed to like being better about creating content internally, which I think was actually a big problem, right? Like the outsourced content never had the right voice and like brand distinction that people really needed to feel connected.
Yeah.
And I think if we'd had AI like more at the time as we do today, and you could train it like in brand voice and being more, connected, it would have been more impactful.
Yeah, totally. I just think it's really interesting, the AI question. The reason I asked you that is because a lot of people are like, oh my God, AI today, but I'm trying to prove a point that like we've been utilizing some form of AI for a long time.
Right, and machine learning, like so much content recommendations and product recommendations come from that.
Totally, personalizations. Exactly. Okay. Let's go down this journey. We're on a roller coaster right now. So continuing down your journey, so then you left Oracle and then you went to Fabletics. And I know that like it was an exciting opportunity at that moment, right? But like, tell me about your B2B switch to e-commerce in user experience specifically.
It was very interesting because I think, going into Fabletics at the time, the brand was still pretty new. It wasn't a huge team. It was based in LA, which was very different from like where I was in the Midwest. But what was nice is a lot of like really kind of scrappy people trying to figure stuff out. Like, we don't always have huge teams of people. It's like a small group of people trying to do a lot of really exciting things. And I think for me, I was really used to building like one-on-one connections with customers and like, understanding what they needed and really kind of trying to put a path together for how do we help grow your business, right?
Yeah.
And I think with Fabletics, the transition was nice because like I was still building those connections, and I actually had a really exciting kind of ease into the brand because I started with retail. So like I was in the stores talking to customers, learning about the product, learning what they loved about our product. And that reinforcement and that like one-to-one connection, when you then go to e-com, like you actually sit there and you're thinking like, okay, what is this human at the other end of this machine gonna do? Like it feels so much more personal because you've had that connection in person.
Totally. I mean, we talk about a lot of like in CX teams, you get like a lot of analytics and you get a lot of like feedback loops and like all of these pieces of it. But like, I think a very underrated is when we talk about omni-channel brands specifically, right? So like Fabletics would be an omni-channel brand because they're available in store, then you're available online. And what's interesting is that you have that insights and touch point from the brick and mortar piece of it, right? Like retail piece of it. And then I love your journey because you basically applied that to the e-commerce.
100%. Yeah. Like you build that, you take all of those learnings and then like you basically scale it, right? How do you do this for more people? And we actually still try to keep that connection with our like associates and digital teams. We have a program called the Retail Experience where like everyone goes into a store for a day, does comp shopping, talks to the associates, talks to customers. Like you can't fabricate that, like just having that one-on-one moment. But I think it's really interesting when you try to like when people try to go the other way, it's harder muscles to build, right? Like it's actually easier kind of going B2B to retail to web because like you're just scaling your connections essentially. Whereas people trying to go the other way, like you're so used to thinking at a huge scale. When you try to get down to the one-to-one, it's a whole different mindset.
It's such a different mindset. I mean, my past, right, in e-com, like started from like more D2C and then went into retail. Yeah. And I think like you lose that first party data. Like, so like all right, I'm an e-com, great. I have like first party data because it's like, I know the touch points of my customer. I can like do all these things. I can survey them. I have the analytics for my customer experience team, like all these pieces of the pie. But then when you go into retail, you lose that, right?
Yeah.
And
so it's how do you get them to work together and like really complement each other?
Yeah.
I think a great example too for us is we have a lot of situations where you'll like the data will kind of like suggest something like maybe a trend with like a product's not fitting or something like that. We actually just talk to the retail associates and ask what they think. And 9 times out of 10, they know the answer.
Dude.
It's fantastic.
If you are a brick and mortar store, I just want to say this. If you're a brick and mortar store or you're in retail, you're considering retail, do not underrate your retail employees because they 100%. Know your customer better than you do in e-com, like straight up.
They do. They really do. And they know the people who come to the stores all the time. Like they understand the trends that are coming in. I think it's such an underutilized like component of a business because you think, oh, well, they're just selling, but they're doing so much more. And I think if you have the right retail leadership, they can embody the brand in a way that's so authentic and so real and really amplify the brand for you.
Yeah, because like it's that human connection. Like you're 100%. Literally there. And I think that retail experience pathway too, of like if you are an omnichannel brand, like having that like retail experience is so important. Yeah. So not just like y'all do that, but Glossier also does that.
That's great.
Glossier like also has like a retail experience where you go in, like you work at the store for like some time because it's like there's such valuable touch points. Granted, like you're both companies that own brick and mortar though, you know, or like you own that like retail experience. So it's like it is a little bit harder for like an e-commerce brand that's maybe like going into Walmart.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, it would definitely be more challenging.
But from your like product and like UX, like just knowledge, right? Yeah. Like what's a hot tip that you would give to a brand that's like entering retail, right? Yeah. And maybe like is completely different, like in a scrappier way. Like what would you suggest to a brand to like capture some sort of like data or survey touch points?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, we talk about omnichannel a lot and we always talk about like you have to meet the customer where they are. And it's like, it's easy to say, but it actually really is true. And we found it's really impactful to like acknowledge where the customer prefers to shop and meet them there. And also like make sure the journeys are going to talk to each other. Yeah. So like we have some technology that we built in our retail stores where like if you go into the fitting room, we actually like add your account and we scan you into the fitting room and we know what you're trying on. And like that just then it's like a huge feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's these little moments that are like natural within a store that people kind of forget about when you're thinking big e-com, but like you have to kind of break those moments down in a retail store and think about those interactions and how you can like really create like a nice tight feedback loop for the customer and for the brand.
Yeah, man, retail experiences are so like when you own the retail experience, you can like do some crazy stuff. I recently went into, I think it was Abercrombie, because Abercrombie's making a comeback.
Oh yeah, they are.
Like they are making a comeback, my friends. Okay, but I recently went into Abercrombie, and this is like nothing to do with data. Yeah. But I went to go try on clothing, and in the dressing room, they had like a hole where you could set the mood, the lighting. Ooh. You could charge your phone. I mean, if I'm in the dressing room that long, I'm a little bit concerned. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Yeah.
But I think just like that retail experience like is just such a different type of customer experience.
It is. And I think we often think about it like obviously your associates have to be fantastic and like the store has to feel fantastic. Like those are givens. Yeah. But I think how you can leverage technology to amplify the experience is like people are starting to do it more, but I think that it's just such an untapped opportunity. Yeah. RFID opens up so much. I think that's been a huge unlock.
Yeah. For the people out there who don't know what RFD is, can you break that?
Yeah, I don't know the acronym actually, which is really embarrassing.
Oh man, should I Google it?
Yeah, you can Google it.
Don't worry, for the people listening, we will definitely put this in the show notes, RFD acronym.
But essentially RFID technology, it's like allows you to have an individual digital code on every product or SKU in your store. So you know where the product, like if you have the right beacons in your store, you know where the product is, you know if they've tried it on.
Yeah.
You can track product around the store.
Talk about a user journey, though.
You can get so much interesting data.
Okay, wait. Can we break this down a little bit more? Okay, because I'm more of like an e-com girl, right? Like you have way more retail experience than I mean, trust me, I worked at Best Buy, the returns counter when I was like 19. I like dealt with some angry customers in my day.
I'm sure.
But not like on these like levels, right? but I think that's really interesting. Like that user journey of like all the, like the tracking, it's like, it's so different. You go to a website and it's like there's a pixel to tell you the journey, right. But in store, it's like you got to like physically figure that out, right?
Like think about it, right? You have a product on your front table, like super cute. The customer picks it up, they walk around the store with it, they go into the fitting room with it, they come out of the fitting room with it, but then they don't buy it, right? Like what happened?
Why did they not buy it?
How do you find that out, right?
Yeah.
So like those are things that we're asking and answering because we want to understand what's going on with our product and like what the gap is. So we actually, a couple years ago now, we actually found a really bad fit issue with one of our products based on fitting room conversion data. So essentially people in like a certain size range were converting at a really high rate, but our smaller sizes weren't. And we found it was just a grade issue on the bottom of the legging where it just didn't quite fit right.
So interesting. Yeah. So interesting. Okay. Well, let's like, I want to keep talking about retail, but I also want to like kind of like talk about the user journey into like e-commerce, right? Yeah. So like, what do you guys do at Fabletics to kind of like gather, like from a feedback loop perspective, gather information from your like customer experience teams? Like what analytics are you like utilizing?
We have a very robust partnership with our analytics team. We quarterly get like quarterly trackers. We ask customers how their, brand sentiment is. It really helps us identify like spikes or trends. So if like something really jumps out at us, like a quality issue, we can investigate that really quickly. We also have a really good connection with our, what we call global member services, our GMS team. We meet with them every other week and they really do a great job of surfacing up trends of like complaints or concerns or feedback from customers. And what's been great is obviously it alerts us like if there's a bug or something, on the site that we have to look at, but they've also alerted us to like this flow is just off. Like this is kind of like a dead end. How do we improve this experience? And I feel like it makes all of us better because like we're listening to the customers, we're taking their feedback, we're making their experience better. But like, then we are informing our partners on, okay, hey, we're going to make this update. You can let the customers know. Like it's a really nice, like holistic partnership that I hope every brand has because I don't know what we would do without it, honestly.
I know. I think, and I know we're talking about like enterprise brand right now. But I think that like there's a lot of lessons to be learned from even like a smaller brand too. For like that feedback loop is so important because it informs your user journey on website, in your product, like everything. Like especially if you're a subscription program to like, why are your customers churning out? Why are they repeating? Like and doubling down on those areas,
It's very real.
Is your CX team, so like tell me the flow into like conversations. Like I'm just curious. So you like retail, right? But then you also have like subscriptions and like all these other like e-commerce pathways. But like how is your team structured in the sense of like, is there some sort of like omnichannel team subscription? Like tell me about that breakdown.
Yeah. So we're a little bit functionally oriented internally. So we have our global member services team that takes all of our customer feedback and aggregates that. We have our member insights team that's doing more like proactive research. We also do events at our corporate office called Meet the Member, where we actually like bring customers in and we like interview them, talk to them, get their brand sentiment, which is hugely helpful when you're doing a new initiative.
Experiential marketing, baby.
It's stellar. And like usually like I think to tangent a second, the Meet the Members are fantastic because the customers are so excited about the brand. Like they love the brand as much as we do. And it's like just such like a buzz, like a good vibe when they're like juiced on the brand just as much as you are. Which is really just empowering to see that. So we have our member insights team, our global member services team, and then we have like essentially like a retail ops team that'll help, facilitate and field stuff. And then obviously our technology team. And we're just kind of like all circularly connecting as much as we can on the right topics.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, I love that breakdown. I mean, granted, I know we're talking about enterprise here, right? But I think there's so many lessons to be learned. Another brand that kind of breaks down like functionally, a little like smaller, is called Sundays for Dogs. It's a dog food company. My homegirl Madison, her episode's coming out this week. She runs the member services or member experience team, right? So it's similar to like the global and like your global team. But she's very specific to the subscriptions, right? Whereas like the additional support team is very specific to like general support or like other avenues. And I think doubling down from like a function level like that, especially if you're a subscription service, is so important because those are your VIP customers, and like those VIP customers and like treating them very well, giving them that kind of like VIP experience is going to play into retention.
Right. It does. And I think we talk about that internally because like for us, the membership is almost part of the product, right? Like the membership is such a value that you get, you know, when you shop with Fabletics. It's hard to disassociate it. And like, it's weird. You need to have like a focus on it as a company. So like maybe you need to have a human, but you really need everybody internally to understand it, adopt it, and be thinking about it. Because if you don't make, that's the biggest thing I've learned. If you don't make the decisions that make the most sense for the membership and for the customer, they might be great e-com decisions, but membership has its own mechanics.
Totally.
And it's really hard. And especially when new people come in and they've never done membership before, they could be the best e-commerce marketer, whoever. But if you don't understand the mechanics of membership, it's really, really hard to make the right calls.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a completely different user journey.
It's such a different user journey.
And like, I see this very often in a lot of like e-commerce brands of like understanding from like a retention marketing perspective, like, okay, like I want to understand like my, like how I can upsell like in subscriptions, but like, I also want to understand like why people are turning out and and a trend that I always see across like multiple different types of brands, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're, athletic leisure or you're, you know, a chocolate brand, right?
Yeah.
What I see often is they always fall out around the month 3.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
I mean, we've recently updated our loyalty program and you actually get more benefits for staying 3 months or more because that is such a tipping point.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's always that 90-day mark.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, every brand is very different, but there's something that happens in the consumer psychology at 90 days.
I mean, I sometimes wonder, is it like you lose kind of the excitement and the hype and there's so much else out there that you just kind of like, you're on to the next. Like, I feel like there's a piece of it that's like our culture is like, there's so much like next. Yeah. Is it just people are ready to move on? I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of that, but then I think also you know, when you're like on a subscription, you just kind of like forget about it and then remember when it charges you.
Yeah.
I think it's that 90-day mark when I'm actually looking at my banking statement and I'm like, oh, that's Stitch Fix, huh?
There it is.
Yeah. I remember, dude, I actually remember one time I was like a part of Stitch Fix.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stitch Fix.
Apologies.
But I was a part of Stitch Fix and I was so busy in my life, I kept forgetting to cancel it.
Yeah.
And it was probably like a good 6 to 9 months, actually. Ooh. I was their best customer because I just forgot to cancel it.
Was great.
I know. And then like I would get the box and then I'd be like, I would never really look at the clothes and I just keep sending it back. And I don't know why I just didn't get online and cancel it.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a user journey.
Yeah, but why didn't they catch you? Like, I feel like they should have caught that you were doing that and like they could have proactively paused you and it would have been such a better experience for you.
I know, but do you think that they didn't catch me because they're so large in the sense that they're like probably not doing that proactivity?
I mean, potentially, but like those are things you can query and they have to have a bucket that they're looking at. Okay, here are the people who are like passively engaged. They're getting it shipped, but they're not buying. And we're getting their $20 whatever every month.
Right. I don't think it was $20. I think it was more than that. I think there was even some times where I forgot to send things back and then I would get charged for all the clothes.
And you just have piles of Stitch Fix you have to try it on.
Dude. Oh my God. Talk about like membership services though. Like on completely outside of subscriptions. ASOS has like a whole membership service where you can sign up and you get free, like you get quicker shipping, like 2-day shipping or whatever. Yeah. So that's another one that I would be like, I'd order all the things because I knew I'd get them in time for that event, right? And then I'd forget to like return them and I'd end up with like a closet full of ASOS clothes that I've never worn. I'm just like, as a consumer behavior, I'm like the worst one for subscription. So I have, now that I'm grown and I've worked in e-commerce, I definitely have grown up a little bit.
Yeah.
I cancel the services.
Good job.
You know?
I will say that like for our customers, we, when you're in the retail store, like I've had associates who will just like remind the customer, like put it on your calendar right now.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. Like remember to shop or skip. It's no big deal.
I know. And make those journeys easy. Like that, going back to what I was saying too, is like, I probably didn't cancel it because I was probably like, didn't want to go through the daunting step of like remembering my password to go into these things. And like, and I get that you don't want people to churn out, right? But still make it easy. Like if you make that user journey easy to skip, cancel, or whatever, you're more likely to be able to keep those customers.
Right. Or they're going to be happier with the experience and they're going to come back. Like that's what we find. Like we have a pretty healthy reactivation program of people who like bought a bunch of stuff, canceled, and then they come back because like I can understand it, right? You only maybe need workout clothes, like so many workout clothes for a period of time, right? And then, okay, you're good. And then you come back and we're welcome them with open arms. They're welcome.
Yeah, like come back. Yeah. Well, that's actually a good segue into, because we didn't even talk about it. Like, tell me about Fabletics. Like, it's not just Fabletics, not just the brick and mortar. Like, tell me the different brands that actually sit under you.
Yeah. So we have Fabletics Women's, which is our first, big brand that we launched. We also sell menswear now. So that's a really big component of the business. We also have scrubs. And then we have kind of a sister brand, Yitty, which is included in the membership, but that's shapewear, which is a huge success in the sense that that was the number one product our customers wanted from us. So we offered a new membership with shapewear.
Your CX is great. That phrase is so last season. We want to hear your CX is incredible, because at Customer, we believe in delivering incredible customer experiences. Introducing KIQ Agent Assist, the ultimate CX team AI sidekick built on our CRM to give agents superhero capabilities and efficiency. When building KIQ Agent Assist, we had goals in mind. 1, get rid of long customer wait times and increase the speed of customer resolution. 2, provide the CS team with real-time data for personalized prompts. 3, delegate those mundane tasks to AI. And 4, free up the agents to deliver a human experience. But listen, we didn't stop there. We wanted to deliver more. Check out KIQ Agent Assist amazing features with suggested responses, automatic two-way translation in 53 languages, and conversation summary. Upgrade your customer experience with KIQ Agent Assist. Try it today and see the difference. Customer, delivering incredible CX every single time.
How did you guys do the research and insights into like understanding that? Like, I know, like, was it like surveying touch points and then like doubling down more?
Yeah. We did a lot of investigation on it. So, I mean, I'd been on the leadership team for a couple of years, and shapewear had consistently popped in our like normal surveys of like, what else would you want to see from Fabletics? Consistently shapewear, which like there's an associated product garment fit that makes sense. I can see why that would pop. But then once we started talking about it, we did more surveys to understand like what they actually want from us. So one of the things about Fabletics is like, we're cute, fun, activewear. We're not like, just the blacks and grays and beige. Like, we have a lot of fun prints and fun colors. And we realized that that's what she wanted applied to her shapewear as well. So we're like, yes, of course we have your basics, but then we also have really fun, vibrant things that customers are really excited about. And we found out, that nugget from a lot of the research we did before we launched the brand.
Cool. I love that. I think it's really important, again, surveying your customers, doubling down on insights, feedback looping. Like, I don't know how many, this is the feedback loop episode. Like, seriously, like, use the analytics from your team. Okay.
Yeah.
Your CX team, I guarantee, has a lot of info for you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think how long has Fabletics been around, actually?
About 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
And you've worked there for 8 of those.
Yeah. Like 8.5. It's wild.
We
were babies and now we're grown up.
Don't you love that? Like, watching your little baby company grow up.
It's lovely. It's really
from a toddler, then a teenager.
And then they're like just doing all the things. Well, and then it's like you have new humans to do new things, and you're like, oh my gosh, we have people to do that now. Yes, and you get so excited.
What number employee were you?
I actually don't know. It wasn't that early on for me to count.
Yeah, but how many employees is Fabletics now? Roughly, it doesn't have to be
probably like 500-ish. That's at like corporate. That's not including like the field and like our fulfillment center. So yeah, it's pretty decent size.
And you guys own your own fulfillment?
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think you have to at some point, right? Yeah. Like when you become like enterprise, like.
Well, we actually have a very interesting approach to that. So we've built a ton of our own technology internally, including our fulfillment center technology, our retail technology, and obviously our website. And then they all kind of talk to each other. Like, the way I used to describe the retail tech is it was essentially the baby of our warehouse and our website that came together to handle the in-store fulfillment pieces, plus obviously selling the product. And I think that's really helped us in a lot of ways, because we can be so much more nimble and flexible to the needs of our customers and our membership and adapt and change in a way that I think if you had kind of off the shelf stuff, it's sometimes hard to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think that at some point, like, at least, or like your customers' journey, like some things, like, it can't be a Shopify app.
No, it's not flexible enough, right?
Yeah.
So like if you, like, for example, we recently made some updates to our loyalty program, did a lot of enhancements there, and there's pieces of that flow through the system. And I think if we had tried to do that, with a bunch of partners, it would have taken so much longer, been so much more complex, and probably wouldn't have hit like it needed to hit for the customer.
Yeah.
Which is,
Tell me about the breakdown. I actually have quite a few questions, right? But I want to go back to that loyalty comment.
Yeah.
Tell me about the breakdown from okay, so you have your membership, you have your subscription, and then you have your loyalty, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about customer loyalty, not just from a feedback loop perspective, or doing things for personalization for your customer, but loyalty programs, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys approach going from subscriptions to loyalty?
It was challenging. So we had a version of the loyalty program that was it was kind of independent of the concept of membership, which the perks were great. It was a good program, but it was too much for the normal consumer to understand about the brand. I have to understand the mechanics of membership, and then I have to understand how loyalty works. We needed to figure out how to make them talk together, and that's what we've done recently.
Yeah.
So for example, in the way we've updated the program, we actually have tied the perks to your tenure as opposed to some sort of spend threshold, right? Which makes a lot more sense because we want to encourage longevity. We want to encourage people to stay longer. So let's give them more benefit for staying that extra period of time.
Yeah.
And then we still offer additional benefits, right? So as you purchase, you do get points, but then you can redeem them for free product. So it's we're kind of continuing to keep that cycle of try new things, buy with us. But the core of it is more about longevity now, which I think makes more sense in the concept of membership.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think I really like that approach. I think when a lot of people think about loyalty versus subscription and putting that all together, how do you think, so when you think about giving the free product, is there a certain, and I don't mean and I mean your opinion, it doesn't have to be Fabletics, but is there a certain threshold of cost?
It needs to be good product.
Right. It needs to be good product. Because it's listen, we can break that down to what the margin is and all these other things, right? But it's I've seen, companies out there give a free product of a water bottle, and it's a really crappy plastic water bottle.
It's so underwhelming. Yeah.
It's so underwhelming. Exactly. And then people get complaints about the free water bottle, right?
Yeah.
So it's how do you approach saying okay, I want to give this I want to give you loyalty, and you earn your rewards and all these things, and I give you free product or I give you discounts, but how do you approach which product to even give them?
Yeah, our merch team does a really good job trying to think proactively about it, because there's a lot of different lenses with which we're allocating kind of special product. So we have, if you're a member with us a certain amount of time or longer, you get exclusive product. Then you have the product in your loyalty shop. Then you have the product that we're just launching on a regular basis. But in the loyalty shop specifically, we try to do stuff that's that's gonna be beneficial and valuable to the customer, but maybe it's something they haven't explored before. So one of my favorites that we had in the reward shop recently was this Dash bra. It's a really cute kind of low impact bra with really strappy back. It actually was a top seller when I first joined. So in our first couple years of business, it was a huge hit. We kind of discontinued it, and then we brought it back as part of an exclusive 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And then for we added it to the reward shop as well. So it's we're really trying to build that brand story. We talked about it kind of from a loyalty, from a anniversary perspective, but then putting it in the reward shop, it adds more value to the shop by having product that people genuinely really want.
Yeah, and it's understanding the product that the people genuinely really want, right? And it's not, you don't got to go out and reinvent the wheel, right? But it's taking those analytics and that data of what your customers really like.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, listening to the reviews.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. We're huge on reviews. Yeah. We are huge on reviews.
Because people will review their free product. They will share an opinion.
Oh, they give you all the tea.
Excuse me, this was free for you. I've seen brands that free water bottle thing. I've seen a brand in particular, I'm not going to name names, but I've seen this brand get really negative reviews on water bottle that was free. And I'm excuse me, can you review maybe the product that you got in your box, not the water bottle?
But I think that's the thing is for the normal average customer, they don't care.
I know.
They don't care who bought it. They don't care that it was like a vendor supplied thing.
Yeah.
It stands for your brand. It has your logo on it. It needs to be a good product. You need to stand behind it.
Well, that talks into like the entirety of like brand experience, right? It's like every piece that you're doing isn't just about you just putting out like, okay, I'm going to put out like a great user journey and a customer experience or a great product, right? Every piece, even the free stuff, even the technology, like this, that, and the other thing have to be an exemplification of your brand and the brand experience. And again, this is why customer experience isn't just customer support.
Right. You really have to like be very holistic in how you approach it. I mean, we think about that from, for our new customers, they go through like a quiz when they first get started. And we get a lot of information about that customer, and like, it's the first touch point. It has to be great. Like it has to communicate, deliver value. And that's something we're really sensitive to. And I think it's often forgotten how much all of those things will connect over time, right? Like that customer took that quiz at the very beginning. They've been with us for a while, but they're like, oh, wait, well, you guys already have my sizes because I took the quiz. Like you reinforce the behaviors that you want to see.
Right.
Because you're asking for the right info and you're thinking about what they need.
Right. Absolutely. Going back to quizzes now, because listen, everybody out there, we got a user experience designer up in this podcast. So I'm going to break down the consumer psychology and like just user journeys and everything you're saying. But like, walk me through the quiz, right?
Yeah.
Because I also find a lot of brands like who are like, oh, I'm going to do this quiz, right? And they pop it on because yes, the information that you get about your customer, but how do you approach the questions actually being asked?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a combination of what's valuable for us as a brand and then what makes sense for a customer to want to engage with, right? So we're actually kind of in the midst of doing some testing on different types of questions, and we're going to kind of explore it in more depth. But when you really break it down, there's so many variables that can drive how a customer perceives a quiz or even just a question within a quiz, right? Like, does the image resonate? If the images aren't great, that they might not be tuned in, right? Is the copy correct or confusing, right? How do they navigate through it? We found there's so much variation in each of those elements that you kind of have to be intentional about how you test.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like we want to get the information that's going to help us provide a better experience back.
Right.
So it's like that, it's that balance, right? You don't want to go too much and like ask them the farm, but you want to get enough so that you can, inform their experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really great approach because like I see a lot of brands like doing these quizzes, right? And I think that's really great. And like you're gathering data, like it's a good way to like, but it's not just like slap it on the website and like, okay, great. Like now I've quizzed my customer and I'm going to like personalize some recommendations, right? I mean, and then actually that's a whole other piece. Like how, like you guys probably have, how many SKUs do you have? Do you know roughly?
Couple thousand.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a huge catalog.
Right. But you have more variety.
Yes.
Than like a company who might have like 10.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like if I'm a company who is like 10, like think about it in a scrappy way. Like how would you approach the like personalized recommendations? Like would you like catalog them like or create them into collections? Like what would your approach be?
I think I'd probably want to explore like the education of the product and then matching that. So like if you were to do a quiz, an example, it'd probably be more about like product attribute, like data to inform a recommendation as opposed to like more generic to narrow down, like as opposed to like a filtering down a set. It's about choosing within the set that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like that approach. I wanted to talk also about journey mapping because I think that's a hot topic in customer experience, right? And I think like you would have so many tips on that. Like I actually just in my like CX group chat the other day with like one of my homegirls, she was like, who has a template for a customer journey map? And I was like, I just Googled this and this is what I use, right? Right. But what would like if somebody came to you and was like, what's your approach for customer journey mapping? Like, is there a template? Like, what would a suggestion be? What's a hot tip?
Like we are huge whiteboarders and we use Miro very often for like digital whiteboarding, and that's hugely impactful for us. Just like it's important to think about the whole soup to nuts experience. I think it's really easy, and I even find this sometimes with folks on my team. Like, okay, it starts here on the website and then it's going to end here, and it's like, but what happened around it? I think that's sometimes what we often forget.
Yes.
It's like there's more going on than just like your little sliver of focus.
Yeah.
And I'm a big like collaborator. So like we're very cross-functionally collaborative. So like we'll pull in people from different pieces, like parts of the business to like validate and fact check pieces that we might have forgotten. Like, oh wait, you're going to forget GMS is going to get that contact. So like this is how it could circle back. I think that's super, super helpful. It's very hard to do it effectively in a silo. I think it's much better done when you collaborate with a group.
That's more of a hot take, okay? Like, absolutely, because like I often see this, right? Like I often see this where it's like, okay, I'm in the CX side and I'm going to go and do like build a customer journey map, but nobody else does it. Right. Like marketing doesn't get involved, like fulfillment doesn't get involved, all these other avenues. But like, these are all touch points that we're talking about. Like start thinking about it from like a collaboration.
100%. Yeah. Like I think, you know, it's very easy to get like focused in your day-to-day, focused in what you're doing. But I feel like you're going to be like 99% better if you ask a few people and you include more folks. Yeah. It's like people aren't comfortable doing it sometimes. I'm a huge believer in like, you should be vulnerable, be comfortable saying what you don't know, be comfortable asking for help, because you're only going to do better work if you can approach kind of your work with that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to like kind of switch gears and talk about AI again. Ooh, yeah. Right? Like, so I know we talked about it in the beginning of like AI usage and like your previous past and like content marketing, right? Yeah. And like, you know, proving the fact that we all were using AI. But what's your approach to AI today though, right? Yeah. Like, how are you thinking about AI and like just anything that you're doing in your field?
Yeah. So I think there's two angles, and I think you've talked about this previously. There's like the internal experience and kind of the external experience for the customer. Internally, my biggest hot take, if you're not using an AI note-taking tool, you are doing the wrong work. 100%. Like,
oh, that's a hot take that I might need to take.
You have to do it. It is life-changing. Like
it all lives here.
It's like, I find that you're so much more engaged once you have those on. Like, you're not trying to like furiously take notes and like keep up with action items. Once you trust the tool that you use, you show up so much better. So like, that's my biggest AI win, I think, in recent memory, is the meeting tools are great. We're also big proponents of finding ways to do more quickly internally. So like, there's obviously like, you know, chatbots with GMS. You know, we are big on how do we write our requirements and do some of our discovery work in partnership with like a ChatGPT. Yeah. Because there's no, like, I don't need you as my product manager to write every line of the requirements. You just need to understand what the requirement is supposed to do, leverage a tool to help you get there.
Right.
From a customer perspective, I think there's a lot kind of coming in the market that's pretty exciting. One thing I'm looking at right now is potentially integrating kind of like an AI chatbot potentially on our PDP. Yeah. So that a customer can like ask questions about the product and like get more information. It's still really early, but I think that could be super, super helpful to just like help customers understand the details on a product.
Dude, I did this with Feastables.
Amazing.
This might be a workshop session right now. You know? No, I did that with Feastables. I took, so, you know, I was trying to solve a problem. So, not that you're interviewing me, but like just how I like approach this, right? When we started with Feastables, we didn't know anything about our customer, right? So like I had to approach CX, like the support function and the community function, like the digital experience function, from like a perspective of like, I think I know what I know about my customer, but I'm gonna like put this on to like launch it. So that's how I approach the chatbot of like, I think I know what they want in the sense of like, okay, they want to like know about Mr. Beast. I gave them product information and all these pieces, right? And then my finding was that people started really interacting with the chatbot a lot more, right? Yeah. And so I was like, oh, this is really sick. So then how do I approach the same thing you're talking about, putting it on PDPs? And then so like, how do we actually make this into like a sales bot, essentially, right? Like into like an always on experience that you don't necessarily have to like reach out through email if you like have questions about the product. And so then like I changed that chatbot for the external customer to like only on PDPs. It would be like, okay, if they were sitting there for like a minute or whatever, I'd be like, hey, looks like you're thinking about it and looking at this chocolate bar. I don't know, right? And so then like it would prompt them to have a conversation, and then they would have the conversation, and then they would lead them down like the little salesy like bot path. Yeah. So and this is really cool. I can't give the exact number, but I can tell you this piece, right? This bot contributed to about 4 to 6% of our launch revenue.
Whoa.
Which is massive.
That's amazing.
And this is why I was saying it could be like a workshop moment, right? So if I'm looking at it from like a athletic leisure perspective, right? Like, or just Fabletics, right? Like taking that concept of like being a little salesperson, and you don't necessarily even have to use the generative AI. You can make it intent-based to understand pathways a bit, and then build the generative.
Right.
You know,
I think that's a super interesting application. And I think for us, what we've still been trying to kind of crack the nut on is like, how do you have a great chat experience that blends membership education, general support kind of questions, and like product selling? Like, I think that's a nugget. I actually don't know if I've seen anybody do it super well, combining all three of those.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a plug to customer, I'm going to be honest with you, because like the way customer approaches this is service doesn't start at, I need help. It starts at like, hello, right? Yeah. And so it's like taking that concept, but I love saying that quote because that's my CX philosophy as well. Like answer the questions before they become questions, 100%. Right? And so it's like taking that tool, right? And you know, for anybody listening out there, it doesn't necessarily have to be customer specifically, but if you're thinking about chatbots, think about it from that perspective 100%. Of like, your service starts at like, I'm browsing the website. Let me build a conversation and engagement pathway for my customer to always be an always on thing, right? Let me be informative, but also you can take it a different way. Like like how I would approach, again, this is Yeti, or not Yeti, I'm sorry, this is a workshop moment. So Yeti, for anybody who doesn't know, is a brand by Lizzo, right? And Lizzo is an experience. Lizzo is like a whole moment, right? I would even approach that, like your different brands, like your core Fabletics brand, your Scrubs brand, and like Yeti and anything else. And I would approach them as all different like engagement experiences.
Oh, for
so
sure.
like, so specifically Lizzo is like the most that like stands out, right? So it's like people probably are coming to the site because 1, you're interested in the product, but 2, you probably are a fan of Lizzo, right? So offer some sort of like product information, but also maybe fun facts about Lizzo.
100%.
How she came up with the name.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
the name is great. It's her childhood name, which is so adorable. Her childhood nickname was Yeti.
I love that.
The name of the brand. It's great.
I love it. But that's a fun fact, right? Like, so that's an engagement piece. And like the same thing with Fabletics, right? Like there's no reason why you couldn't like build like some history into it.
100%.
It's like build it to like have a conversation. So it's like your service isn't starting at like, I need help. It's starting at like, hello, I'm a new customer.
Right.
You know?
And I think that like, it really speaks to how much education goes into selling product nowadays. Like, I think people are so much more invested in brands. They want to understand the brand better. They want to know what they're buying. They want to understand the mechanics of a program, if it's a program of some sort. And I think it takes a lot more to be intentional to communicate that information now than it used to be. Like, I think it used to be so much more transactional. I feel like we're kind of in a different era right now.
Yeah. Well, this kind of goes back to the beginning of our convo, right? We talked a lot about like retail experience, right? And I don't know if you're noticing this with like consumer behavior, but like I'm noticing, I mentioned Abercrombie. Abercrombie's having a comeback, right? I don't think like malls are necessarily going to have a like overall comeback. I would say like it's like, you know, Abbot Kinney and Venice, you know, type of like comeback, like brick and mortar stores on like a street, an outdoor mall moment. But my point of circling back is that what I'm noticing is that consumer behavior in e-commerce is like people aren't really buying online anymore. They're wanting to go in store.
Yeah.
You know?
We see it too.
Right.
Like, and we see that like our most valuable customers are customers who shop with us on all platforms. Like they really are engaged with the brand everywhere. But I mean, that's partially when we opened our retail stores, like what was so exciting. We had members who shop with us online. They had a bunch of member credits. They had a bunch of money to spend with us. They'd come in the store and like say before they'd only bought the leggings, they see all the other product that we offer and they just kind of go crazy. Like they're so excited. They get to touch and feel it. Like there's like a tangibility piece that I think kind of coming out of the COVID era, like people want more experiences. They want to touch things. They want to feel things.
Right.
And a retail store does that in a way that you really can't do on e-commerce.
I know. It's really interesting to watch that behavior like switch. And I think you hit it. I think we're all coming off of COVID and wanting that like interaction in person because like we missed it for 2 years.
We did. Yeah. And you only bought online. So like you were only like connected to your screen. And now it's like, how can I like really validate this before I just click buy? Right.
Right. And it's like going back to that ASOS example, I bought all these clothes because like I wanted to try them, like I wanted to feel them, but then I had the intentions of returning them.
Yeah. You never were actually going to keep those like 7 pairs of shoes.
No, but I did because I forgot to return them.
They gotcha.
Oh man.
That's like a whole nother thing though. And this is like just totally random, a little bit off topic. I don't understand why like return policies are so rigid at stores.
Dude.
Having a generous policy builds so much more goodwill.
It builds loyalty.
It totally does. Like why would you why die on that hill? I don't understand it.
Yeah. Okay, going back to ASOS real quick, I will tell you that like I know this is like e-commerce more, but like they have like a, I don't know, 15-day, 30-day, whatever it is, right? Policy. But like sometimes I would forget to return the things, right? And then I would like remember when it was like too late. And a few times, sorry, ASOS, I've done this. Like I returned something like 3 to 6 months later.
Oh, no way. Did they take it back?
They take it back.
That's fantastic. That's stellar customer service. That's such a good experience.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And so it's like, take that example of like, it's kind of the Costco example too.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, honestly, that's how our retail store, like our return policy is 90 days, but like, so it's already quite generous. But like, if you come in store with a product, like our associates are never going to turn you away. They're fine. We will take it back.
Because you want to build the loyalty to your brand and that affinity to it, you know? And it's like, if you're rude, or I wouldn't say rude, I get it, like customer,
you have a policy, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a piece of like, it's like that empathy piece of like, we understand you as a human, like you got busy, something happened, like we got you, right? I think that's like what builds that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Mel, I had to tell you this, but we're at the end of the road.
No way.
I know.
This has been great.
I'm going to miss you now.
I'm going to miss you too.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, I've had a blast.
It's been so fun. I feel like you and I could like talk for 20,000 hours.
Yeah, we could keep it rolling.
So maybe we'll do a round 2
Love that.
of this.
Here for that.
Tell the homies where they can meet you.
Find me?
Find you.
I am a horrible, not frequent LinkedIn poster, but I am on there. Melanie Cummings. You can find me.
But she is a responder to DMs.
I will respond if you hit me up in the DMs for sure. Yeah.
Maybe just don't over inundate her on the DMs.
We'll see how much I can handle.
Yeah. I was like, I really set that expectation real high, so I had to like backtrack it for a second.
I gotta level out the expectations.
Yeah. But you will put a link in the show notes to your profile, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I can't wait to do this again.
Yeah, thank you.
And to everyone out there, I really appreciate you tuning in for another episode of The Juice. Please tune in next week, as well as sign up for our newsy. We're dropping the hot takes on a weekly basis that aren't just all about our interviews. So you can sign up at juice.customer.com, and I will see you all next week. Hey, wow, you made it to the end of the episode. That means that you like me and I like you, which also means you should subscribe to this show.